Now in this video we're going to get into one of the many uses for a displacement map. And basically a displacement map is a grayscale image that Photoshop uses to distort another image. So here I have an image of this water, the horizon and everything, and I've got some text here, and what I want is to make it seem as though this text is actually reflecting in the water here, like it's sitting on top of it, but reflecting on top of the water. But it needs to distort with the water. It has to have that kind of liquid distortion to really make it look like it's really reflecting. And we're going to do that using a displacement map. But first, I have to make the displacement map itself. So I'm going to turn this layer off. And with this layer active, I'm going to go under Image to Duplicate. I'm just going to create a duplicate of this image. And I'm going to go under Image again. This time we're going to go under Mode to Grayscale. And it's going to ask me if I want to flatten it. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And there I have a grayscale image. Now all I'm going to do here now is just save this. We'll do Save As. And I'm just going to make it easy and call it Disp for short for displacement. And it needs to be saved as a PSD file. So we'll do this, save it as Photoshop to my desktop. And let's hit save there. And I'll just close it. So there, I've saved my displacement map. So now I'm going to go and work on my text here. Now the first thing I want to do is actually give this text a little style to it. So I'm going to double click on my layer icon here. Bring up my layer styles. I'll apply a bevel. I'm going to change it up a little bit here. I'm just going to click off my global light switch there. I'm going to change the gloss contour to this one right here. And there we go. Gives it a little bit more shape and dimension to it. So now let's hit OK. Now I'm going to make a duplicate of this layer. Drag it down, make a copy, and I'm going to go back to this first layer since it's beneath it, and we're going to go under Edit to Transform, and it's going right off screen, but it's right here at the bottom. Flip vertical, and then we get a complete mirror of it. I'm going to drag it down till it's just below that original copy there. And now I'm going to change this layer's blending mode to perhaps overlay. Not quite what I want. Let's do hard light. And drop that opacity down to about 75. Okay. We're going to go ahead and apply our displacement map. So with that layer active, we're going to go under Filter, go to Distort, Displace. Now, before I continue, I just want to make sure that when you're going to apply a displacement map in a case like this, you need to make sure that your displacement map image is the same size as your image that you're working on. Otherwise, the displacement is going to be positioned very differently than what you want it to be. So just make sure that your images are the same dimensions and resolution, of course. So here I can actually apply my settings for my displacement. I can change the horizontal scale, vertical scale, and this basically is telling how many pixels I want it to distort my image based on the file I'm using. And this can go anywhere from 0 to 255 levels of gray. So you can just really blow the distortion out, or you can keep it very subtle, which is what I'm going to do here. I'm actually going to leave these both at 5. I may increase the horizontal just a little bit. Let's make it about 7, since the water itself is kind of more going horizontal than it is up and down. So, and we'll leave stretch to fit and that wrap around on there. And when I hit OK, it's going to bring up this open window, and it's telling me to go find a displacement map. So on my desktop, there's that file I saved. So we'll just click on that and click Open. And when I open it, it's going to go ahead and apply that distortion to this layer. So when I hit Open, you'll see what happens. There it has gone ahead and distorted it, and it looks pretty good. And of course, if I didn't like it, let's say if it didn't distort it enough, or maybe it distorted it too much, I could simply undo it, go back into the displacement window, change those numbers until I get the setting that I like. Now the last thing I need to do is on this layer, I'm going to create a layer mask right here. Go and get my gradient tool and make sure we're going from black to transparent. And we're going to draw the mask from the bottom up to the top edge of this text here. So I'm going to click and hold my Shift key down so it constrains my up and down movement. And we'll go right to the bottom of that text right about there. There we get a pretty good reflection. I'm actually going to drop that opacity down just a little bit more. And there we have it. So, a really interesting use of the displacement map using a grayscale image of the actual background itself, using it to distort that text to give it a much more dimensional effect in here. So, there you have it. We'll see you next time.